Our next informal report is on redistricting software training for interested residents. And Michelle Gutt is available if there are any questions. All right. The next informal report.
Elizabeth, I think, Carlos has one too.
Lots of questions.
Michelle somewhere.
Here we go.
Michelle? Good.
No.
And Michelle, as you're answering questions, I've heard that the software is cumbersome, as in pretty technical and difficult. Can you walk us through that also?
It is. I went through it yesterday, and I do not have a GIS background. I'm not used to working with maps with multiple layers. I was able to create a map. What we've done is the IT staff and the development services staff have done a great job of trying to get a starting point that's easy for residents that really are interested. We recognize that some residents will have that technical skill and they'll be able to go in there and put the layers in and create the maps. For those people who still want to go in and learn how to do it and develop a map, what staff has done is they have developed an initial template that includes 40 districts that are all of equal size so that people can go in and combine like 4 districts to end up with the 10. And then once you go in there, it's easier to modify each of those districts versus creating from scratch. So when people go through the training, they will learn how to set up an account, how to develop a map, and then we'll walk them through using the template that was developed, how to create a map. Then they're welcome to go in and create one from scratch, use the current districts to develop 10 districts. It's really wide open how they want to do it. They also will have the ability, and we teach this in the training, to share, if they have friends that they want to share their maps with, they can collaborate that way and then submit those to the staff. So I agree that the software is not as easy and non-tech as people like me would like, but staff really has tried to develop some starting points so that even people who aren't comfortable with the technology can go in and use it.
But will we have a way that people can, besides just the education piece that we're doing, where people can call and ask questions if they're trying to work through it? Okay.
Yes, we will. We have an email set up that people will be able to submit any of their questions, and we're going to set up training sessions at different community centers that have computer labs, and people will be able to go there, and we'll have staff available to help them walk through and use the technology. The training that we have set up for this coming Thursday, I checked this morning, we have 13 people who've already registered for that. And a lot of these are people who were very involved in our public meetings and who are interested in redistricting. So I think it'll be a good test group to see how they react and deal with the software and if there's anything we can do to help people.
Elizabeth had questions.
So,
Yes.
As someone with a GIS background, I have a lot of questions that you might not know off the top of your head, and that's fine. You answered some of them, but will there be specific layers for each particular population in question, whether it be socioeconomic, racial background, age, et cetera?
Yes, we do have a lot of the layers that are part of the criteria that was developed by the redistricting task force. So all of those are in there, along with the census information that we get, which includes a lot of demographic information. The other thing we're emphasizing in this training right now, the training that we're doing is to really allow people to go in, practice with the software, and become comfortable with it, because right now the data that we're using is the old data. And so once the new census data is available, the 2020 census, that'll be uploaded into Esri. And hopefully by people having a couple of months to just practice with it, once we have the real data, it'll allow them to create maps a little bit easier.
Okay. My second question is, will that training be recorded and posted anywhere on the website? So
yes, we are recording Thursday's training and it will be posted. And we also will have links. Esri has a lot of really good YouTube videos for people. And so we will have all of those posted on our website as well for people to use and walk through.
Okay, and then my next question is, about our public meetings.
Yes.
I see that there are several, I'm looking at the timeline here, the next step, and I see that several of those are after maps have been drawn. And it says at least one before maps have been drawn by council. At least one, is there any plan for any additional meetings for input, or is
I believe the ones that are listed in the IR are the minimum that were determined when we were going through the redistricting task force. Yes, we're going to look for other opportunities to have public meetings. And one of the things I'll talk about in my presentation is we're having open houses this summer. And one of the things we'll allow people to do is to come in, we'll have computers set up, and they can actually learn how to use the software and have staff help them, log on and see what's available for them to do the redistricting on.
great? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Carlos?
Michelle, some of my questions have already been answered, but when it comes to these in-person meetings, for training purposes, I get that there will be staff there on hand, but you'll probably recognize this question because I ask it a lot. Will there be bilingual staff?
We can have bilingual staff available.
I would recommend
yes.
that highly. The other thing, too, if someone does not want to attend in person but wants to partake or at least listen in on the said training sessions, can they do that? Will there be a link provided where they can maybe interface with somebody who is there at Hazel Harvey Peace?
We do not currently have a virtual training opportunity, but we can definitely look into that. What we do have planned, as I mentioned earlier, is we're going to be recording the training that takes place on Thursday, and then we'll have an email that people can contact if they have any questions using the software.
Okay. And then one final question. As far as the software is concerned, I'm getting the sense that it's, and I brought this up before, that it's we're too far into the process to really back up and do something substantive as far as changes to the program, to the software?
Yes, we have contracted with Esri as the software provider, and I believe this was the same company that we used during the last public input process where people could create maps.
Are they going to offer any support during these sessions at all? Is there going to be a representative there to troubleshoot anything that might come up that staff might not be able to handle?
No, they've provided training to staff, and we have staff in our development services and our IT department who are very comfortable and who are actually doing the training for us so that it's more Fort Worth focused.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Elizabeth?
Follow-up question of Carlos's about staff, sorry. You're speaking my GIS language here. GIS, Esri, is what we use at the city, correct? So the staff that's going to be answering the questions, whether they're from IT or, other departments
Yes.
that utilize that program, are going to be available. Is there a schedule in which there's a hotline that someone can call or a direct number? Is it going to be more like an email? Just what does that support look like?
The email will be monitored
Okay.
24/7. I mean, within business hours, it'll be monitored moving forward until we're completely done with redistricting. So we've set it up so that it will be available during the training, but the idea that it will be available throughout the redistricting process, and the staff that will be answering that will be the staff that can answer those technical questions. You'll be happy to know I'm not answering the email.
And so that'll be, just to be clear, that'll be City of Fort Worth staff that
Yes.
are experts in GIS.
Yes, it will be. Mm-hmm.
Chris, did you have a question?
Yes. So you say you had 13 people signed up. How are we publicizing this training or this software for the community?
We sent an invitation to all of the people who had made comments or participated in the public meetings that we had during the redistricting task force. We also put a story out on our city news, and we shared it through social media. It will also be shared with our neighborhood associations when we have our neighborhood kind of localized training that will be taking place at our community centers. We'll be sharing that through Nextdoor and through our distribution list that we have of neighborhoods.
So is that something that you can maybe send to us individually so that we
Absolutely.
can share?
Yes.
Okay. And also, is the software downloadable, or do it have to be used on an internal computer that the city provides?
No, it can be accessed from anybody's personal computer. And one of the things that we'll be providing is login information, and it'll be on our website, walking people through how you can set up an account and then how you can access the Fort Worth maps that we have set up in the templates.
Okay. Well, I just think it's important that, that all of us share the information, because there's a lot of people who's concerned about redistricting, and they're not visiting the in public meetings, but they still want to be a part of the process.
Yes. And I think in addition to the software that people can use, we're also going to look for opportunities for people to provide their comments and suggestions outside of developing a map. Because the technology is a little bit cumbersome, we recognize that not everybody's going to be comfortable going in and developing a map, but we still want them to have the opportunity to provide their comments that then we can share with the council.
Michael, I think you had a question.
Yeah, thanks for this and the questions and pointing that out so we can share information. I think all of us, and I can say, want this to be a fair, open, and transparent process, whatever's happening. And so the more information we get out, that we can get to people, the more these education sessions, training, et cetera, that we all want that to happen. So please keep doing it. Thank you.
Yeah, just to echo what's been said, thank you, first of all, for making the redistricting process, especially with tools publicly available. Esri ArcGIS is not like the most user-friendly for sure. So thank y'all for what y'all are doing for training sessions for those who want to partake. For me, access is a really big issue. And I'm thinking about access in terms of like where the training locations are, access to the software, how to download it. Unfortunately, we saw during the pandemic that, access to basic things like what we thought was basic, right? Like computers, tech devices, high-speed internet, is not quite where we wanted to be in Fort Worth. And so I think just as a team, we have to think through those barriers as well for folks who want to draw a map, but either don't have a device or don't have high-speed internet to even use the software as high-powered as ArcGIS is. The other, thoughts I would add to this is, you hit on it, access to giving feedback, because some folks are going to be like, you know what, forget it. After touching the map, like for 3 seconds, my dad probably wanted them. And so, I think it's important that we create other mechanisms for folks to talk about, like, what's important to them around the redistricting process so that we have that feedback as we're moving forward. The last thing I would offer is just incorporating our millennials and our Gen Zers and our youth around drawing maps. Even if, they're not 18, there's several government high school programs that would love to, also give their feedback, because frankly, in 10 years, these maps are still going to be in existence, and we want folks who, are not quite old enough to vote yet to also have a say in their representation. And I think, just to give a shameless plug, TCU has an amazing ArcGIS lab. And I think it would be really neat, to be able to take you to that lab if they don't have access to the devices, to get college students that are familiar with ArcGIS to help them in doing that. So a shameless plug, but also some feedback around access. Thank you for what you're doing. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Chris, I think had another question.
Yeah, one final question, and I know we don't want to be flooded with these emails, but will they have access to send us what they have created?
I believe if you are registered, then they can share their maps with you, and we can help you all get registered on the.
Yeah, so I think part of one of the functionalities of the software is the ability to share maps. So that's a native aspect of the software. Now, with how many people the maps are shareable, we'll have to figure that out. But there is a sharing feature inside of the software.
Will we have to sign up to be a part of that sharing process, or would it just be automatically given to city staff or you or us? Or?
Well, when they submit their maps, those will come to the city. And our plan is to have a way so that we post all of the maps that are submitted by the public in the interest of transparency. And so, but we could also share it with the council at the same time that we're getting the maps submitted. So those that they submit to us, not when they're practicing, the goal is to have all of those posted online so that people would be able to see what those maps look like. And we can also just put something in place so that we automatically share those with council as well.
All right, thank you. Moving to the next info, one more.
Gina.
Okay, Michelle,
I almost made it.
I'm glad to know about the public training and that, but I would encourage you to make sure you've got locations that you know we can attract people.
Yes.
And in my area, UTA Robotics Center, Hanley Meadowbrook Rec Center, those are locations. I know in Southwest Fort Worth, a lot of people go to Great Commission. And so just let council members help you identify where you need to be with these, because I've seen staff pick places in the past and I wouldn't even go.
Okay.
And so just make sure you tap into us, because these new people have been on the road. They know where people are, and just let us help.
Absolutely.
Else you're going to have a whole bunch of people very, very upset. And finally, I would also say you might want to consider your urban radio, Hispanic radio. There's no more Black radio here, but we have Black Information Network. People listen to that, but urban radio will be very helpful. And of course, don't forget Senior News and AARP, the Greek fraternity. Chief Noakes knows everybody now with the Divine Nine, but just, we really got to get this out. We got one shot for a decade.
Absolutely.
And so the same old tactics of getting information to the public will not work for this. And getting the information to us, I'll tell you now, send me everything in JPEG. Don't send me Acrobat Adobe stuff, because if I'm in the street, I can't post it right then. But just let us help you, because we've got people willing to help.